The massive ships appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's skies were clear. The next, 7 huge black ships hung over major cities across the planet. Each ship was bigger than any building humans had ever made. They blocked the sun and cast giant shadows over New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo, Rio de Janeiro, and Sydney. Admiral Ta stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship over New York. He was tall with sharp eyes and wore a black uniform covered in medals. He had conquered 12 planets in his career. Each time, the pattern was the same. Show up, look scary, and watch the local species panic. Then demand their surrender while they were still afraid. Display our message on all Earth screens, he ordered. His crew obeyed quickly. Across Earth, every TV, phone, and computer screen suddenly showed Admiral Ta's stern face. "People of Earth," he said in a deep voice, "I am Admiral Ta of the Galactic Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Do not resist. We have weapons that can turn your cities to dust. We will send terms for your surrender in 6 hours." Admiral Ta smiled as the message ended. He turned to his second-in-command. "Now we wait for the panic to begin," he said. "It's always the same. First comes fear, then chaos, then they beg for mercy. But something strange happened. Or rather, nothing happened. No mass panic. No riots in the streets." Admiral Ta frowned as he watched the humans through the ship's cameras. In New York, people were taking pictures of the ship with their phones. In Tokyo, a news crew was interviewing people who seemed excited, not scared. In Rio, a street party had started beneath the shadow of the ship. "Sir," one of his officers said, "the humans are trying to contact us." "Already surrendering?" Admiral Ta asked with a smirk. "Put them through." The screen showed a woman in a blue uniform. She had a calm smile. "Hello, Admiral Ta. I am Captain Han of the United Earth Defense Force. We received your message. We would like to invite you to a diplomatic dinner tonight to discuss things properly." Admiral Ta blinked in surprise. This was not how conquered species usually acted. "Perhaps you misunderstood," he said slowly. "We are not here to talk. We are here to take over your world." Captain Han nodded politely. "Yes, we got that part. Still, it's rude to discuss business without dinner first. We'll send coordinates for landing. Shall we say 7 p.m. local time? We'll have food ready." The screen went dark before Admiral Ta could respond. He stood in shocked silence. "Sir," another officer called out, "you need to see this." On the screens around the bridge, Admiral Ta saw something that made no sense. Humans were making jokes about the Empire. They were creating pictures with funny captions about space drama queens and extra aliens. These images were spreading rapidly across their internet. One popular image showed Admiral Ta's face with the words "KMA cross Galaxy" to look DRMATLIC written on it. Another showed a human offering a sandwich to one of the Imperial ships. "This is not normal," Admiral Ta muttered. "They should be afraid." His communications officer looked up from her station. "Sir, we're receiving thousands of signals from Earth. Many humans are trying to send us friend requests on their social media platforms." Admiral Ta's face turned red with anger and embarrassment. In all his years conquering planets, no species had ever responded this way. His intimidation tactics were failing completely. "Sir," his second-in-command asked, "should we fire a warning shot to show them we're serious?" Admiral Ta considered this but shook his head. "No, I will attend this dinner. I need to understand what's wrong with these humans." As his shuttle prepared to descend to Earth, Admiral Ta watched a new trend spreading across human internet. People were dressing up as Imperial soldiers and doing silly dances beneath the ships. This was going to be much harder than he thought. The dinner did not go as Admiral Ta expected. Humans served food that was too spicy. They asked too many questions. They laughed too much. And worst of all, they were not afraid. When Admiral Tai returned to his ship, he made an urgent call to the Empire's headquarters. "Supreme Commander G, I need your help," Admiral Ta said. "These humans are different." The next day, a much larger ship arrived. It was twice the size of Admiral Tai's ship and shaped like a sharp blade. It cast a shadow over half of New York City. Supreme Commander G did not bother with dinner invitations. He was older than Admiral Ta, with a face full of scars from many wars. He wore a uniform with even more medals. No species had ever defied him. "Gather their leaders," he ordered. "I will tell them what happens to worlds that don't bow to the Empire." 2 hours later, the United Earth Council met in a large room in New York. There were 20 leaders from all parts of Earth. They sat at a round table, looking calm as Supreme Commander G entered with 6 armed guards. Chairwoman Sun, the head of the council, smiled at him. She was a small woman with short gray hair and kind eyes, but those eyes were sharp and missed nothing. "Welcome to Earth, Supreme Commander," she said. "Would you like some tea before we begin?" Commander G ignored the offer. He pressed a button on his wrist, and a large hologram appeared above the table. It showed planets being destroyed, civilizations falling, and the Empire's giant fleet. "This is what defiance looks like," he said in a cold voice. 23 civilizations tried to resist us. All of them fell. Some no longer exist at all. The Earth leaders watched quietly. "You have 2 choices," Commander G continued. "Become a vassal state of the Empire, or face complete destruction. You have 1 week to decide." He expected gasps of horror, pleas for mercy, perhaps even tears. Instead, Chairwoman Sun nodded calmly. "Thank you for this information," she said. "We will need the full week to consider your offer properly. In the meantime, would your fleet like to remain in orbit? We can arrange tours of our planet for your crew members who want to visit." Commander G's face turned dark with anger. "This is not a negotiation," he shouted, pounding his fist on the table. "This is your only warning." Chairwoman Sun didn't flinch. "Of course," she said, "we understand the seriousness of your ultimatum. 1 week is all we ask." After Commander Joy stormed out, the council members looked at each other. "Well," said Chairwoman Sun, "that gives us 7 days to learn everything we can about their technology." Across Earth, something amazing was happening. Amateur astronomers pointed their telescopes at the Empire's ships. Engineers studied the signals coming from the fleet. Scientists analyzed the small pieces of metal that fell from the ships during landing. In secret labs, humans worked day and night. They shared information freely between countries that were once enemies. Everyone worked together because everyone faced the same threat. Meanwhile, Commander G watched Earth from his ship and mistook their calm for acceptance of defeat. "They know they cannot win," he told Admiral Ta. "They are just making peace with their fate." But he was wrong, very wrong. On the 6th day, a teenager in Kenya made an important discovery. She noticed a pattern in how the Empire's shields worked. She posted her findings online, and within hours, scientists around the world confirmed she was right. On the 7th day, as Commander G prepared to receive Earth's surrender, Chairwoman Sun requested a meeting aboard his ship. "Have they finally accepted their place?" Commander G asked Admiral Ta. "It seems so," Admiral Ta said, but he sounded unsure. The humans were still making jokes about the Empire online. Some were even selling T-shirts with Commander G's angry face on them. It didn't look like a defeated planet. As they waited for the Earth delegation to arrive, neither Imperial officer realized that humans had already found 3 major weaknesses in their supposedly perfect warships. The game was just beginning. Before Earth gave their answer to Commander G's ultimatum, Imperial Cultural Minister Kang suggested a new plan. "We should learn more about these humans," she told Commander G and Admiral Ta. "Let me arrange a cultural exchange. We'll invite them to our ship, show our power up close, and gather information at the same time." Minister Kang was tall and elegant with a cold smile. She had studied many alien species and knew how to find their weak points. A good idea, Commander G agreed. Bring their best people here. Show them our might. Make them understand who they're dealing with. Minister Kang chose Captain Du to lead the Imperial side of the exchange. Captain Du was the most intimidating officer in the fleet. He was 2 meters tall with muscles like stone and a face that never smiled. He had fought in 30 battles and never lost. Show no weakness, Minister Kang told Captain Du. Make them fear us. The human delegation arrived that evening. Dr. Kim led the group of 10 people. She was a cheerful woman with round glasses and a quick laugh. She worked in what humans called cultural anthropology. We're so excited to be here, Dr. Kim said, shaking Captain Du's hand with both of hers. We brought gifts. The humans carried boxes and bags full of items from Earth. Captain Du was suspicious but allowed them in. Minister Kang had arranged for the exchange to happen in the ship's Great Hall. The walls showed moving images of planets the Empire had conquered. The ceiling displayed their powerful weapons destroying moons and asteroids. Armed guards stood at every door. Wow, said Dr. Kim, looking around. Great special effects. Like a movie theater. Captain Du frowned. The humans should be trembling with fear, not taking pictures and pointing like tourists. These are not special effects, he said in a hard voice. These are real recordings of our power. Dr. Kim nodded politely but didn't seem impressed. Now about those gifts, she said. We brought some things to share about Earth culture. The first gift was food. The humans had brought small bottles of hot sauce, bags of spicy chips, and strange candies. This is our famous spicy food, Dr. Kim explained. Would you like to try some? To show he wasn't afraid, Captain Du took a big bite of something called a ghost pepper chip. His face turned red immediately. His eyes watered, but he refused to show pain. The second gift was even stranger. It was a machine they called a karaoke system. It's for singing, Dr. Kim explained. Very popular on Earth. You pick a song and sing along. The third gift was a collection of what they called action movies. They showed them on a screen they had brought. Captain Du expected human war documentaries to be weak and boring. Instead, he watched humans doing impossible jumps, fighting with strange weapons, and making jokes while they fought. It made no sense. In real battle, no one makes jokes, he told Dr. Kim. She just laughed. It's for fun. Here, try the karaoke. By the end of the night, something unexpected had happened. The Imperial Guards who were supposed to intimidate the humans were instead trying human food, watching human movies, and even singing human songs. Captain Du watched in horror as his best soldier, Officer Bake, sang something called Sweet Caroline while humans clapped along. This is going wrong, he whispered to Minister Kang. She nodded, her face worried. They're not being intimidated. They're entertaining us. When the humans finally left, they gave every Imperial officer small bags of gifts to keep. Come visit Earth soon, Dr. Kim said cheerfully. We'll show you real Korean barbecue. After they were gone, Minister Kang looked at the damage. Instead of frightened humans, she had karaoke singing Imperial Guards asking when they could visit Earth. We need a new approach, she told Commander Jai. Cultural exchange was a mistake. But it was too late. The humans had made friends with half the crew. And worse, they had walked through the entire ship, taking notes and pictures of everything they saw. Admiral Tai realized first. They weren't just being friendly, he said. They were gathering intelligence. Commander G's face turned dark with anger. Then we moved to the next phase. Psychological warfare. Commander G was angry. His ships didn't scare humans. His ultimatum didn't scare humans. Even the cultural exchange had failed. It was time for a different approach. Bring in Dr. Jun, he ordered. Dr. Jun was the Empire's best psychological warfare expert. He had broken the will of 12 different alien species without firing a single shot. He was thin and quiet, with cold eyes that seemed to see right through you. "These humans are strange," Dr. June said after studying the reports. "But everyone has a breaking point. I will find theirs." His plan was simple but cruel. The Empire would broadcast images of other planets they had conquered. They would show the suffering of species that had resisted. They would display their weapons destroying entire cities. The broadcasts would play non-stop on all Earth channels. "Fear will spread," Dr. June promised. "Soon they will turn against each other. The weak will beg their leaders to surrender." The broadcasts began the next day. Every TV, phone, and computer on Earth showed the same images. Planets burning, aliens in chains, Imperial ships destroying everything in their path. Dr. June watched Earth's reaction carefully. He expected panic in the streets. Instead, something very different happened. A human woman named Lee, who hosted a popular talk show, did something unexpected. She began commenting on the Empire's broadcasts like they were a regular TV show. "Welcome back to Empire's Got No Talent," she said cheerfully on her show. "Today we're rating the Empire's fear tactics. Let's start with that shot of the burning planet. I give it a 6 out of 10 for drama, but only a 3 for originality." Other hosts followed her lead. Soon, millions of humans were watching shows that made fun of the Empire's broadcasts. They rated the explosions. They joked about the angry Imperial officers. They even created drinking games. Take a sip every time Commander G threatens to destroy a planet. Dr. June couldn't believe what he was seeing. "This isn't right," he told Commander J. "They're turning our psychological warfare into entertainment." The Empire tried showing more violent images. The humans responded by creating memes and funny videos. The Empire broadcast speeches from their emperor. The humans added silly music and shared them online. A week into the psychological warfare campaign, ratings for Empire's Got No Talent were higher than any other show on Earth. Host Lee became a global star. "Tonight on our show," she announced, "we have a special guest, Professor Yoon from Seoul University, who will explain why the Empire's ships look so outdated. Also, our fashion expert will discuss why they all wear the same boring black uniforms." Dr. June watched in horror as humans laughed at what should have terrified them. "Sir," an officer reported to Commander G, "some humans are requesting the broadcast schedule in advance so they can plan viewing parties." Commander G's face turned purple with rage. "How can they laugh at this?" he demanded. "We've destroyed entire civilizations." Admiral Tai, who had been studying humans more carefully, offered an explanation. "Humans use humor as a defense," he said. "When they're afraid, they make jokes. It seems to help them think clearly even when facing danger." Dr. June couldn't accept defeat. He had one last idea. "Let's show them our prison planets," he suggested. "No one laughs after seeing those." But even this backfired. Human rights groups immediately began organizing. Scientists started designing better systems for the poor aliens in the prisons, and many humans simply became angry rather than afraid. "We're making them unite against us," Admiral Ta warned. The final blow came when human hackers somehow took control of the Empire's broadcast. For 5 minutes, they replaced the scary images with a cartoon of Commander G slipping on a banana peel, falling over and over while funny music played. Commander G smashed the screen when he saw it. "Enough psychological warfare," he growled. "If they won't fear our minds, they will fear our weapons. Prepare for a military demonstration." Dr. June quietly left the room, his reputation in ruins. He had never failed before. But then, he had never met humans before, either. General Min had no patience for talk. He was a soldier, not a diplomat. When Commander G told him about the humans' strange behavior, General Min had a simple answer. "Words don't scare them. Then we use weapons," he said. His face was covered in metal implants from old battle wounds. He never smiled. Commander G agreed. "What do you suggest?" "We destroy their moon base," General Min replied. "It's small. Only 30 humans live there. but they will see our power. The Empire had found the human moon base during their first scans of the solar system. It was tiny compared to Imperial stations, just a few domes on the moon's surface. Humans had only recently learned to leave their planet. Commander G gave the order, "Make sure all Earth telescopes can see it. I want every human to watch." The Empire announced the attack one day before. They told Earth to point all cameras to the moon at exactly noon. This would be a lesson in Imperial power. Admiral Ta wasn't sure this was wise. The humans don't react like other species, he warned. This might not scare them either. But General Min dismissed his concerns. "Fear of death is universal," he said confidently. At noon the next day, 5 Imperial ships positioned themselves around Earth's moon. On the command ship, General Min gave the order to fire. Red beams shot from the Imperial ships. They hit the human moon base with perfect accuracy. The domes exploded into dust. In 10 seconds, the base was gone. General Min smiled for the first time in years. "Now they will understand," he said. On Earth, millions watched through telescopes and on screens. The Imperial ships had made sure the attack was visible from everywhere. At first, there was shock. The moon base had been a source of pride for humans. But then, something strange happened. "Sir," an officer reported to General Min, "the humans are having press conferences." On screens across the ship, Imperial officers watched as Professor Yoon, a small woman with thick glasses, spoke to reporters on Earth. "The attack on our unmanned moon base has given us valuable data," she said calmly. "We thank the Empire for this demonstration." General Min frowned. "Unmanned, but our scans showed life forms." Admiral Ta checked the reports. "They were test animals," he said. "No humans were on the base. They evacuated everyone 3 days ago." On Earth, Professor Yoon continued her press conference. "We have analyzed their weapon signatures and shield frequencies. This data is now being shared with all Earth nations." General Min couldn't believe what he was hearing. The humans had tricked them into revealing their weapons technology. "They knew we would attack the base," Admiral Tai realized. "They'd wanted us to." Commander G was furious. "Then we give them a real demonstration. Target the small island. Show them we can hit any place on their planet." 2 days later, the Empire positioned a single ship above a tiny island in the Pacific Ocean. The island was empty of humans, but full of scientific equipment. General Min gave the order to fire. The red beam shot down from the ship, but something unexpected happened. The beam weakened as it entered Earth's atmosphere. When it hit the island, it only destroyed half of it. "What happened?" General Min demanded. On the ship's screens, Professor Yoon was giving another press conference, smiling broadly. "Thanks to the moon base attack, we developed a partial shield for our atmosphere," she explained. "It reduced the Empire's weapon strength by 47%. With more time, we can improve this further." General Min slammed his fist on the control panel, cracking it. "They used our attack to develop defenses," he growled. "This is not how conquered species behave." Commander Jai stared at the screens in disbelief. The humans were celebrating. They saw the partial destruction of the island as a victory, not a defeat. "We need a new approach," Admiral Ta suggested. "Perhaps economic pressure, if they can't trade with other worlds." "Yes," Commander G agreed quickly. "Call Trade Minister Park. If we can't scare them with weapons, we'll starve them into submission." But as the Imperial ships moved away from Earth, Professor Yoon and her team were already studying the data from the second attack, finding new weaknesses in Imperial technology. Trade Minister Park was known throughout the galaxy as the Strangler, not because he hurt people with his hands, but because he could choke the economy of any planet that opposed the Empire. He had bankrupted 7 civilizations without firing a single shot. He arrived at Earth in a gleaming silver ship shaped like a coin. Unlike the warships, it had no weapons. It didn't need any. "These humans are a problem," Commander G told Minister Park during their first meeting. Threats don't work. Weapons don't work. We need another way to make them submit. Minister Park nodded. He was a short man with expensive clothes and a smile that never reached his eyes. Every civilization needs trade, he said. I will cut them off from the galaxy. They will beg to join the Empire when they understand what they're missing. His plan was simple. First, he would show humans amazing products from across the galaxy. Medicines that could cure any disease, food that never spoiled, machines that could build entire cities in days. Then he would tell them they could have these things only if they joined the Empire. Minister Park set up a trade show in New York. The Empire displayed their best technology. Humans came by the thousands to see it. This food replicator can end hunger forever, Minister Park told the human leaders. These medical pods can heal any injury. This clean energy system could power your whole planet. Earth's leaders seemed impressed. Minister Park smiled as he moved to phase 2 of his plan. But you cannot have any of these things, he announced, unless you become part of the Empire. Otherwise, no planet will trade with you. You will be alone forever. He expected desperate pleas. Instead, Chairwoman Sun thanked him for the presentation and asked for a week to discuss it. During that week, something strange happened. Parts of Imperial technology started disappearing from the trade show. Small pieces at first, then larger components. Humans are stealing our technology, an Imperial guard reported. Minister Park was not worried. Let them try to use it. They can't understand how it works. But he was wrong. Very wrong. 7 days after the trade show, a human businessman named Mr. Choi called a press conference. He was young, with messy hair and a bright smile. Today, Choi Industries is proud to announce our new food production system, he said. It's based on Imperial technology, but we've made it better. Minister Park watched in shock as Mr. Choi demonstrated a machine that looked similar to the Empire's food replicator, but smaller and faster. How is this possible? Minister Park demanded. You can't have reversed engineered our technology so quickly. What he didn't know was that humans had been working together in ways the Empire couldn't imagine. Engineers shared information freely across countries. Scientists worked day and night. University students formed teams to solve specific problems. Within 2 weeks, human companies had created versions of almost every Imperial product shown at the trade show. Some worked differently, but many worked better than the originals. Human tech is more user-friendly, one Imperial officer admitted privately. Their medical scanner is smaller and has a better screen than ours. The worst blow came when Imperial citizens began requesting human products. A ship captain secretly bought a human-made entertainment system because it was more fun than the Imperial version. An Imperial diplomat was caught using a human communication device because it had better battery life. Minister Park was horrified. This was supposed to make them dependent on us, he told Commander Jie. Instead, they're starting to sell to our people. The final insult came when Minister Park discovered his own assistant using a human-made datapad. It has games on it, the assistant explained, looking embarrassed. Commander G called an emergency meeting. Economic pressure has failed, he admitted. We need to try something else. Admiral Tai, who had been studying humans carefully, made a suggestion. Perhaps diplomatic pressure might work. We could bring them before the Galactic Council. Show the galaxy how primitive and dangerous they are. Commander G nodded slowly. Yes. No single planet can stand against the entire Galactic Council. We'll expose these humans as the backward savages they are. But as Imperial ships prepared to take human representatives to the Council meeting, Earth's companies were already packaging their improved Imperial technology for export to other planets. The economic war had not only failed, it had created a new competitor in the galactic marketplace. The Galactic Council met once every 10 years. Representatives from all 200 member planets gathered in a giant glass building on a neutral world. The Empire controlled most votes through fear or bribes. Ambassador Ba had represented the Empire for 60 years. He had never lost a vote. He was tall and elegant, with perfect white hair and a voice that could charm or threaten with equal skill. "These humans are troublemakers," he told the council members before the meeting. "They refuse to accept their place in the galaxy. They must be contained." Most council members nodded. Few dared to disagree with the Empire. The human representative surprised everyone. Instead of sending a high official, Earth sent Ms. Ryu, a young diplomat with a friendly smile and simple clothes. She brought only one assistant and carried a small tablet. "She looks so ordinary," one alien whispered to another. "The Empire will crush her." When the meeting began, Ambassador Boz spoke first. He showed images of Earth's weapons, their space exploration, and their rapid technology development. "These humans are dangerous," he declared. "They steal our technology. They mock our authority. They must be placed under Imperial control for the safety of all." The council members murmured in agreement. This was how things always went. The Empire would point at a planet, call it dangerous, and everyone would vote to let the Empire take control. Then it was Ms. Ryu's turn to speak. She walked to the center of the room and smiled. "Thank you for allowing Earth to join this important meeting," she said in a clear voice. "Before I address the Empire's claims, I would like to share some information." She tapped her tablet, and images appeared on the Council's main screen. They showed Imperial ships attacking Earth's moon base and the island. "The Empire attacked us without provocation," she said. "But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because of this." The screen changed to show official Imperial documents. Many council members gasped. "These are the Empire's internal reports," Ms. Ryu explained. "They show that the Empire has been exaggerating its military power for decades. Their fleet is half the size they claim. Their weapons are not as strong as they say." Ambassador Boy jumped to his feet. "This is a lie. Where did you get these documents?" Ms. Ryu smiled politely. "Your encryption was very good, but not good enough." More images appeared on the screen. These showed the Empire breaking galactic law on dozens of planets. "The Empire has violated the Council's rules 67 times in the past decade," Ms. Ryu continued. "They have taken resources from protected worlds. They have interfered with developing civilizations. They have threatened peaceful planets." The council chamber erupted with noise. Many members began talking at once. Ambassador Bai tried to regain control. "These are tricks. Humans cannot be trusted." But Ms. Ryu wasn't finished. She played audio recordings of Imperial officials, including Ambassador Bai himself, mocking council members and admitting to bribes. By now, several council members were openly angry. A representative from a planet called Nebulon stood up. "My planet has suffered under Imperial threats for years," he said. "If what the human says is true, we demand an investigation." Others joined in. Planets that had feared the Empire now saw a chance to speak out. Ambassador Bada watched in horror as his carefully built network of fear and lies began to fall apart. He had expected to announce Earth's surrender. Instead, 5 council members were calling for sanctions against the Empire. Ms. Ryu made one final move. "Earth proposes a new trade agreement," she announced. "We offer our technology and resources to any planet that wishes to trade freely, without Imperial control." 17 council members immediately expressed interest. When the meeting ended, Ambassador Bai faced the most humiliating moment of his career. Instead of Earth facing sanctions, the Council had voted to investigate the Empire for violations of galactic law. As he stormed out of the chamber, he passed Ms. Ryu in the hallway. "How?" he demanded. "How did you do this?" She smiled. "We didn't try to scare anyone. We just told the truth." Back on the Imperial command ship, Commander G received the news with cold fury. "The Council has turned against us," he told his officers. "This is no longer about Earth. This is about the survival of the Empire itself." The news of the Galactic Council meeting spread fast. Within days, everyone in the Empire had heard how humans had stood up to Ambassador Bai. The story grew with each telling. Soon, People were saying that Maizryu had made the ambassador cry. For the first time, citizens of the empire began to question their leaders. Commander In was a mid-level officer on an imperial ship. He had watched the empire's failed attempts to frighten humans with growing interest. Now, after the council meeting, he made a bold decision. "We've been doing it all wrong," he told a small group of trusted friends. "Fear doesn't work as well as we thought." Commander In had secretly studied human history. He was fascinated by something humans called peaceful resistance, the idea that people could change things without using violence or fear. "The empire has ruled through fear for 1,000 years, he told his friends. "But look at Earth. They laugh at threats. They work together. They share ideas freely. And they're happier than we are." At first, only a few people listened to Commander In. But as more news came from Earth, his group grew larger. Imperial citizens were tired of being afraid. They were tired of the strict rules. They wanted some of the freedom they saw humans enjoying. Commander In started small. He taught people to ask questions. Why did the Emperor need so many palaces? Why couldn't ordinary citizens travel between planets freely? Why was information controlled so strictly? These questions spread like fire. Soon, people across the empire were asking them. When imperial officers tried to silence the questions with threats, people responded in a new way. They laughed. "They're using human tactics against us," Admiral Tai realized when he heard about the growing movement. "They're not afraid anymore." Emperor Wu was not pleased. He was old and cruel, with eyes that never showed emotion. He had ruled the empire for 300 years, through perfect fear. "Arrest the troublemakers," he ordered. "Make examples of them." But when soldiers came to arrest Commander In and his friends, something unexpected happened. Instead of fighting or running, they sat down peacefully. Hundreds of supporters joined them, sitting quietly in circles. The soldiers didn't know what to do. Their weapons worked against people who fought back or ran away in fear. But what could they do against people who just sat and smiled? Videos of the peaceful protests spread across the empire. Each day, more people joined. They began calling themselves the Laughing Ones, inspired by how humans had laughed in the face of imperial threats. Emperor Wu tried everything. He cut off resources to rebellious planets. He sent more soldiers. He made more threats. Nothing worked. When people weren't afraid anymore, the empire's power began to crumble. The most embarrassing moment came when Emperor Wu gave a speech threatening to destroy any planet that supported the rebels. Instead of causing fear, people across the galaxy edited the speech to add funny music and shared it widely. "The humans have infected our people with their disrespect," the Emperor raged to his Supreme Council. But it was too late. The Empire was changing from within. 3 months after the Galactic Council meeting, Imperial guards on 17 planets had joined the peaceful protests. Military ships were refusing orders to attack civilians. Even some of the Emperor's advisors were secretly supporting Commander In. Admiral Tai, who had led the first mission to Earth, made a difficult choice. During a private meeting with Emperor Wu, he spoke the truth. "We cannot continue this way," he said. "Our people have seen another way to live. They won't go back to living in fear." Emperor Wu stared at him with cold eyes. "You too, my most loyal admiral." Admiral Tai nodded slowly. "I've learned something from the humans. Fear might control people for a while, but it never lasts. They've shown us a better way." The Emperor didn't respond. But that night, his private ship left the capital planet. He fled to a distant world, taking the Empire's treasury with him. The next morning, Commander In and his followers walked into the empty palace. The Empire, as it had existed for 1,000 years, was over. And it had all started because humans laughed instead of cowered. 5 years passed since the day the Empire tried to scare humanity. 5 years since Admiral Tai's ships appeared over Earth's cities. Everything had changed. The Galactic Empire was gone. In its place stood the Galactic Cooperative, where planets worked together as equals. Commander In and Ms. Ryu served as co-chairs of the Transition Council. "I never thought I would see this day," Commander In said during the 5th anniversary celebration. "When I was a child, we were taught that fear was the only way to keep order in the galaxy." Ms. Ryu smiled. "And now we know better." The celebration was held on Earth, in a large park in Seoul. Representatives from 187 planets attended. They came not because they were afraid to refuse, but because they wanted to be there. Earth had become famous across the galaxy. People called it the planet that laughed in the face of fear. Human humor, creativity, and resilience were now highly valued traits. Many alien species sent their children to study on Earth to learn these qualities. Professor Yoon, who had led Earth's defense research, now headed the Galactic Science Academy. Scientists from all planets shared their knowledge freely, leading to advances that helped everyone. The old empire hoarded knowledge. Professor Yoon explained to a group of students, "They believed knowledge was power to be kept secret. We believe knowledge is power to be shared." Mr. Choi's company had grown into the largest technology firm in the galaxy. His latest invention was a translation device that allowed any species to understand any other instantly. "No more misunderstandings," he promised. Dr. Kim had created a cultural exchange program that brought people from different planets together. "We learn from each other's differences," she said. "That's something the Empire never understood." Even some former Imperial officers found new lives after the collapse. Admiral Tai, who had once led the mission to conquer Earth, now ran a popular restaurant in Seoul. He served fusion food that mixed Earth flavors with dishes from across the galaxy. "My biggest mistake was trying to scare humans," Admiral Ta told a reporter during an interview. "It was the most embarrassing miscalculation in my 300-year military career." He laughed as he said this. Admiral Ta laughed often now. It was something he had learned from humans. Chairwoman Sun, now retired, sat in Admiral Tae's restaurant enjoying a meal. She watched the news on a screen showing the celebration. "Did you ever think it would turn out this way?" she asked Captain Han, who sat across from her. Captain Han, who had invited the Imperial fleet to dinner during first contact, smiled. "I knew humans were special. We don't scare easily, but I didn't expect to change the whole galaxy." The biggest surprise came when former Emperor Wu returned from exile. Many expected him to be arrested or punished. Instead, he was invited to speak at the celebration. "I ruled through fear because I knew no other way," the old emperor admitted. "For 1,000 years, the Empire believed this was the only path to order. Earth showed us we were wrong." He looked older now, and much humbler. "I have spent 5 years learning from humans. They taught me about forgiveness, about second chances, about finding strength in kindness rather than fear." As night fell, the celebration moved to Admiral Tae's restaurant. Former enemies sat together, sharing stories and laughter. Commander In raised a glass in a toast. "To Earth," he said, "the planet that didn't know it was supposed to be scared." Everyone cheered. Even former Emperor Wu joined in. Later that night, as the celebration continued, Admiral Tai and Commander Jay stood outside looking at the stars. "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if humans had been afraid of us," Admiral Ta said quietly. Commander Ji shook his head. "Then we would never have learned a better way. Fear might control people for a while, but laughter sets them free." Across the galaxy, beings of all kinds lived without the shadow of imperial fear hanging over them. And it had all started because humans found the Empire's intimidation tactics more amusing than frightening. The Empire had tried to scare humanity, but ended up a laughingstock, and everyone in the galaxy was better for it.